What is going on, YouTube? Appreciate everybody tuning back for another video. In today's episode, we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of owning an S1000RR, all years, all generations. And we're also going to talk about my opinion on why I think the S1000 is the best super bike. This is my second S1000, going on almost 4 years of ownership. Had a 2011 before this, currently have the 2018 version of the S1000. But anyways, I'm going to hop on the bike, we're going to ride a little bit. Also got some new gloves. Got the new pants from NBT and some new boots. If you guys aren't familiar with NBT, they make armored clothing, hoodies, jackets, pants, all that good stuff. Fully armored up, it gives you full protection, and still get to look good while you're on the bike. I do have a code which is FASTFLOW at checkout, and save you guys a little bit of money, so definitely check out NBT. So I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while now. I wanted to wait until I had a decent amount of miles, a decent amount of riding time on this specific bike. Had a 2011 S1000RR before, like I said. Put about 6,000 to 8,000 miles on that bike, and it was amazing to me. This bike currently has 26,000 miles on it. I bought this bike at about 2,500 3K miles. So it's safe to say I've put 23,000 miles on this bike. If you guys are normally watching the videos, you guys know how I ride this bike. And if you guys are new to the channel, I ride this bike extremely hard sometimes. Basically what I'm saying, this is not your standard 22 to 23,000 average riding miles. The bike has been ridden hard. I do wheelies on it for long distance of time. I go racing on the bike. I've done track days on the bike. I've took it out to California. I've ridden this bike super hard. The bike has been nothing but great to me. I've had decently long ownerships of other bikes like R6s and stuff like that, CBR 1000s. So I will be able to make a good comparison on the ownership of different brands compared to BMW. And out of all those hard miles I've ridden the bike from, I've only ever had to change the oil, basic fluids, all your general maintenance that you guys have to do on every single machine you own. On my R6, I had stator and rectifier problems. And this bike's always turned over every single time. It's never left me stranded like my CBR 1000 have, or my R6. Even on my Ninja 650, the very first bike I ever had, it had coolant problems, only being a couple years old. The only really downsides to maintenance is that if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna pay a lot at shops. But that's with any bike that you own. There are a few things on this bike that you have to have special tools to get to, like the clutch basket, but they are very few jobs. And if you guys know what you're doing with other bikes, and even if you guys have a mechanic, you know, around, it's all pretty basic stuff that you do on every single type of bike. A lot of people will tell you when you own an S1000, like, make sure you have enough money to buy two, or make sure you're ready for the service bills. If you take care of these bikes will take care of you. Another one of my friends has S1000RR. It's a 2013 version, and he bought that bike with like 30,000 miles on it and sold it with like 50-something thousand miles, and it's still going hard. He tracked that bike, he rode it hard on the street. That is a lot of miles. Man, just listen to this bike in the tunnel. I mean, come on, man, it sounds so freaking good. Alright, we're gonna get through this traffic real quick. If you guys are from Kansas City, you know down here it's always packed with traffic, but it doesn't make it any better. It's a little late in the afternoon, people are getting off work. Yes, sir! First wheelie back, man! This bike feels so good, man, and I would never tell anybody to start out on a 1000cc bike, but I'm fully confident if you have good throttle management and you do respect the bike, somebody as a brand new rider could start on this bike. It's so freaking easy to ride. And like I said, please don't go out and do that if you are a new rider. But I'm just saying, it's so smooth at low RPMs, city cruising, highway riding, on the track. Everything is just so good about this bike. I rode every single type of bike besides the super rare variants of the newer bikes, like the Super Legeras, you know, or the Triple R SP. I've rode the new Triple Rs, I've rode the new Gixxers, I've rode the new BMWs, from the M packages to the base models, R1s, you name it. Nothing hits like this bike right here. I have never once been on a newer bike and like, man, I want to sell my bike to get this. And the power delivery of this bike is there all over the place. The only time I really ever get beat is by other S1000s or ZX10s that are fully raced up, slammed, stretched, you know, on race gas, all that type of stuff. This bike is so incredibly fast, there's really no need for anything else. The power delivery is just there. If you want it smooth, comes up smooth. If you're just cruising, you just cruise. If you want to go fast, within a second, you are moving. Heading to BMW Motor Rad right now. Took out my oil filter for the bike. Gonna do an oil change on it tonight. See if they got any new M1000s in here. Well, we got the oil filter and the crush washer in there. A little tip for you guys, if you guys are newer to the bike scene and wondering what type of oil filter you guys should use, definitely always stick to OEM oil filters. The K&N, the high flows, not a big fan of. Actually had a K&N on my buddy's ZX10 that blew out while he was riding and toasted his motor. So stay OEM. It doesn't really matter what type of oil you get, as long as it's obviously the type of oil for your bike. But the filters definitely do matter, in my opinion. Stay with OEM. So getting back on the topic of power delivery, like I said, I do love the way this bike reacts in every single gear. Exiting corners when I'm on the track, or I'm in the back roads when I'm cornering, the power is there. The top speed on these bikes are about 190 to 200 miles per hour, depending on the gearing, the tuning, all that stuff. And even without a tune or a flash on this bike, they are so incredibly fast. The newer ones, the K67s, the 2020 Plus, they definitely do have a dead spot on them, and it's definitely worth to get those bikes flashed. But something like this bike, the older ones that are less restricted, you really don't even need to get this bike flashed. If you bought one of these bikes, you're gonna go fast on these bikes. Nobody buys a 1000cc just to cruise and to go slow all the time. Until you fully get comfortable with these types of bikes, you definitely don't need a flash. The main reason why I flashed my bike is at the time I was racing this bike, I did have it slammed a little bit in the front and was just racing other stock wheelbase bikes. That was before I got into track and all the wheelies and the cornering and all that stuff. The speedo does stop at 186 miles per hour, but you can feel the bike keep moving. Unlike other bikes where you kind of hit that brick wall and you kind of feel lagging a little bit, the bike still keeps moving even when the speedo's flat out. Another big reason why I love this bike so much is because it has everything. It has the ABS, the traction control, the electronic suspension, launch control, it's got heated grips, it has everything. And even to this day, 2023, some bike manufacturers are still just now catching up with BMW. And even the brand new ZX10s are just now finally doing cruise control. These bikes are really refined and dialed in. A lot of the stuff on this bike that new bikes are just now starting to do, they've been doing for over a decade. And I mean, come on, man, you can't beat cruise control. Going hands-free on the bike, especially when you're on the highway, just cruising, you have a long road ahead of you, long journey, whatever the case may be, cruise control is just so freaking nice. The reason why I love this bike so much is because it has different modes on this bike. One thing I love so much about these modes is it has user mode. User mode is so freaking cool because it allows you to set your ABS on how much you want on the front wheel to the back wheel. If you want the front wheel to come up a little bit, it really allows you to customize everything on this bike exactly how you want it to your exact needing, unlike pretty much every other super bike on the market. Overall, man, the riding experience on this bike is so much fun. There's never really a dull moment on this bike, as with pretty much everything on two wheels, but this bike definitely does hit a little bit different, you know. It's a super eye catcher. Everybody looks at it when I'm pulling up. You know, the bike's super powerful. It rides so super easy whenever I want it, no matter the RPMs. And for comparing it to a bike like the ZX10, man, the throttle's just so twitchy on the ZX10. It really just does feel like a soulless bike to me compared to this. My bike was down for a weekend and I borrowed my buddy's ZX10. I literally could not wait to get rid of that bike and get back on this bike. And you wouldn't really think about it, but being on a CBR 1000 compared to a BMW S1000, it is a whole different ballgame. I owned two CBR 1000s for quite some time before I got this S1000, and it felt like I was going up in liters when I hopped on this bike. The power difference between a CBR 1000 and an S1000 is pretty freaking crazy. I'm not super worried about how fast the bike is. I love how bikes look. The V4 to me is one of the best looking bikes. Obviously, if I had to choose my dream bike, it would be the M1000, the new one, the full carbon one out. One thing I will say about the S1000s, if you guys are new to them or thinking about getting one, unfortunately, you do have to take the bike to the dealership to get the service code cleared. You guys can avoid that and do it at home, but you do need a GS911. The GS911s are a little USB looking stick. You plug it into your laptop, that plugs into the OBD2 port from the computer on your bike, and from there you can clear the service code on your bike. Unfortunately, they are very proud of those, and you know, they do want $300 to $400 for that little stick. And really all it does offer is to read codes and clear codes. You can do other things with the GS911, like resetting your quick shifter if you're having quick shifter problems. I formed this opinion off owning this bike, riding every single other bike pretty much on the market, and owning other sport bikes. This bike has been the most reliable. Like I said, it's never left me stranded, ever. I always do my oil changes just because how I ride the bike a little bit sooner than what the book calls for. I also change my oil after every single track day just because the bike is constantly getting rid hard on the track. It doesn't really have much brakes like on the street, you know. Roughly about a week or two away from the trees starting to turn, but as you guys can see, there's a little bit of red going on and all that good stuff. This is one of my favorite roads to ride down. Not specifically at this time since it is rush hour, but oh yeah, it was a perfect little open spot. But yeah, check out these trees, man. Starting to change just a little bit. Looking beautiful. So yeah, pretty much all those reasons have made up my mind on why I love the S1000RR, and pretty much when I get another bike, it's gonna be another one. I'm not thinking about buying S1K, but from my experience, this is the best bike I've ever been on. We're pretty much gonna wrap up the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts and my opinions on the S1000. If you guys have an S1K, drop a comment. Let me know what's your guys' favorite thing and what's your least favorite thing about the bike. And if you guys are new looking to get an S1000, I can promise you, if you pick one up that's been taken care of, that the bike will treat you good. But anyways, that's about all I got for today's episode. I appreciate y'all tuning in as always, and I'll see y'all boys in the next one.